Hi, this is Cindy
And Michael.
And this is Bert, Cindy's father.
from Part-Time Permies. We have a guest today, guys, and we should do a sound check first since we had so many issues last time. It looks like it's working on our end, but let's just double check that if you guys can let us know. But let's see who's in the room.
We got a few
Got a
people
number.
back. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
Michigan Mike's back after a couple weeks.
Yeah, Michigan Mike's back. Noah's Ark is back. Suburban Hillbilly.
It's here. Claire's here. Vincent Shop.
Yeah,
Max Happy Homestead's been here quite a bit recently.
yeah. And your mom's here.
Yeah.
And did we say Curie from Built on the Rock? I think we did. I can't remember. My brain's not working. We had a long day outside.
Oh, we did.
But so we'll go through a little bit of projects we've had going on. And one of the reasons why you came to visit,
Yes.
I
yes,
asked you to come early.
You did?
So we'll get to that.
You asked to come.
You asked to come
This
for one
weekend.
reason, and then I asked if you could come early. He was going to come for Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So since we had projects, Dad's looking young. Is what
You
Noah's Ark
call
said.
him Grandpa, but I think most people call him Bert.
Yeah.
Well, the grandchildren call him Grandpa.
Yeah,
they
of
do.
course.
They call me Pappy.
They're
Pappy.
calling him Grandpa for a reason.
Grandpa. Yeah, they do. And we'll have another one soon calling
Yes.
me Grandpa.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So yeah, no, we will actually have a video with you in it in the next couple weeks, but I still have to finish things up on our project. So yeah, so we have lots going on. We did have issues that we didn't talk about last week, so I was going to bring those up first, about the fencing and why we were running.
Was that last Sunday?
That was on
Oh, that
Sunday.
was last Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, so we
So
missed.
It's been a week.
We missed the Rhodes Premium Member Live show because we had some fencing issues.
Right, you were doing the fence and I was cleaning the kitchen or
Yeah.
something.
So our fencing equipment, our normal solar panel fencing died. Luckily, we had just moved the chickens close enough to the barn that we could run our electric one out on a long extension cord, but had to get it protected from rain and all of that. So this was our jerry-rigged setting on the left and the dead solar panel one on the right. So that was a little crazy, and doing that at the last minute, I noticed that right when I was I think I noticed that when I went out to get eggs before, I was in the middle of setting up for the live show. So that's why we were going nuts last week, and we didn't even mention it. But they're still talking about calling
Well, and then
Grandpa.
the computer reset last week, which had to do with the
Yes.
power being off probably and the computer.
Yeah, and then we had our
Okay.
sound issues and stuff, which took a while to
Well,
figure
that was
it
the
out.
computer doing it itself.
Yeah, that was that, but I was last minute anyway. Crystal just joined us. Hello, hello. And today we moved the chickens again, and we moved them right around. This was this morning. We moved their fencing right around the chickmobile, the nursery tractor that has the babies in it. So that is Lucky figuring out that he has babies to watch over now. He was so excited. He actually was taken by surprise by them, and geese are pretty loud when they're surprised. But
Lucky the goose.
Lucky the goose is very cute and loves his babies, so he's getting used to them now. And the rest of the flock is as well. So we have that. What else did we have this week? Oh my gosh, we had bazillion frogs. Still.
Yes, frogs too, like Cindy.
Yeah, are you going to tell frog stories about me?
I don't know. There have been some pretty good ones. You've heard them before,
I've heard them before.
but these people haven't heard them.
That's all right.
No.
I've been known to catch frogs since I was little, by the way. So I did not go hunting these frogs. I was checking the peppers for hornworms and saw this guy sitting on a pepper leaf. It's a tree frog.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And then I went 5 minutes later out back to go close the coops or whatnot. It had just gotten dark. And this guy was on our back door.
And
That's another tree frog.
oh,
The tree frogs are showing up like crazy.
They're jumping out of the trees.
They're climbing. Yeah, my
Or do they jump out of trees?
somebody says, "Do tell the frog story."
Yeah, I do tell the frog story.
Oh
Yeah.
no. No, actually, I have a lot of frog stuff from my family just because of my wanting to catch frogs as a kid all the time. Like I'd hold my T-shirt up full of wood frogs that were in their backyard. Like I'd catch like 10, 20 at a time
Oh,
and then
yeah.
release them.
And then release them.
Yes. But yeah, so
Sometimes we had to suggest that, though.
suggest to
that
release
you
them.
release them. I mean, you were about 2 years old when you started.
When I
this.
started, yeah. Yeah, apparently. So, yeah, so that's what we during the week I did catch a picture of our sunflower with a bunch of bees on it. The native ones are all over the place, bunch of bumblebees.
Mhm.
But the other things, what do we have?
Did you see any more monarch larvae?
Nose is running.
Disappearing. No, we did see monarch caterpillars. They're all over the milkweed right now. So I do, every time I walk back there, I see some eating. They're probably the same ones on the same milkweeds, eating the milkweed plants.
Yeah, I saw
so-
a monarch the other day in our backyard.
Yeah, no, I've seen some flying around too, definitely. Monarchs are all over. Oh, someone's asking about baby bump. Tina, hi. Tina, guess what? We have another video it's in the making. Probably going to be, the project isn't done yet, so it'll probably be a couple
We
weeks.
get UP Gardening Adventures.
Just a hello,
So
and Green
I'm gonna
Gables.
guess they're from Michigan. Are you new?
Yeah,
You could be up gardening, but guessing we're not up gardening.
I'm guessing we're not up gardening. I'm guessing that's a youper in the room. Someone from the Upper Peninsula, that is, for those of you guys who are non-Michiganians. So, of course, they call us the trolls, but because
That's fair enough.
we live south of Mackinac Bridge. We live under the bridge. So anyway, so we have a youper in the room. No, I'm teasing. Yeah, we got a bunch of people coming in. Hello, Four Horns Farm. I can never say your name. Why do I always stumble over that? Anyway, lots of people joining in. But we had a project today.
Yes, we did.
So you're taking pictures.
Chicken coop,
Yeah,
but for a particular reason.
we did. You want to see what's going on with our friend who's helps us butcher chickens every once in a while?
Yeah, our friend Jamie, who lives just a little south of us, barely.
Who's been featured in our videos.
He was at the Hootenanny. Yep. So
Yep.
they don't have a channel, but they're pretty involved. Have a really wonderful 5 acres or maybe 10 acres. Really developing a homestead food forest, and they have traditional animals and such.
Yeah.
And so they're going to brood some meat chickens for us because we were a little late on. Had problems with our chickens going broody when we needed them to for the first time, and we're basically out of
Meat.
chicken. So he was getting a bunch in. He needed a few extra to meet minimums for the next lowest discount, next discount level.
Mm-hmm.
And so we
Hi,
said
Grammy.
we would buy in on that. And so they had some delays in their schedule, and finally this week got the chicks in. So they're going to hold them.
Until they're big enough.
Yep. Which will be about half of their life.
Almost. So you said they would be ready Labor Day weekend, right? So we're trying to get a meat tractor put together for them. And so we started building today. I don't have any pictures of you in this, but you will be in the video, Dad. But you were taking pictures of me as I was building.
Yeah, I haven't done this for a few years.
Yeah, no, a couple of years. You were...
UP gardening's not new, but it's been a while. Okay,
Yeah,
That,
yeah,
that actually I do vaguely remember.
Yeah,
So.
it's so hard to keep track of everybody though. But yeah, so we're building a new, it's basically 8 feet by 7.5 feet in about that interior space tractor for the meat chickens that we'll be getting Labor Day weekend. So we got it all framed out today. We'll get a video together. We're going to put hardware cloth around the edges of that. I'm going to have a completely removable roof, kind of like I do on our other chicken tractor that's semi-road style, but not quite. And yeah, so we have that project going and needs to be done by Labor Day weekend because we need to move meat chickens in there. So we got it all framed out today. That was a big project.
Yeah, and it has about 64 square feet, I think we figured,
Yeah, just about.
and easily moved by one person from
Yeah.
spot to spot.
Well, I can tell you right now, I moved the frame with one hand, dragging it along the ground. Now, once we put the roofing and the hardware cloth on, of course, we're adding a few pounds to it. But I want to say it's probably going to be the same weight or lighter than our heavier, small nursery tractor. Yeah.
Which was the goal.
Yes. Yeah. Question from Curie. Do you guys know when chicks start chirping in the shell? No idea when Mama Hen has started sitting on the eggs, but found her 2 weeks ago. Just before they start
I
hatching.
said chirping in the shell. I mean, you're like a day out. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. You're within. If you're hearing that peeping, they're starting to work on getting
You better
out.
plan on chickens like now.
Soon, yes. So you're going to have babies probably in the next day or so. 21 days to hatch out chicks. 28 days to hatch out ducks and geese. But for chickens, it's 21. And our silkies will, and that's average. Our silkies will hatch them out in like 19 days sometimes because they sit so tight they don't even get up to take care of themselves every day. It's like every other day. So we are actually expecting another clutch to hatch out this week.
Oh, no peeping yet. Yeah.
No peeping. Okay.
Well, if she's been on it for
Yeah.
2 weeks, you're getting within a week.
Found her 2 weeks
If you
ago.
found her, yeah. So you're probably within your last week.
Yeah. So if you found her 2 weeks ago, depending on how long she was missing, which sometimes can be, a while. But yeah, we've had that happen where our dogs have told us where the chickens were brooding on some eggs, and we're like, oh, okay. Or this last time when we tried to drop a branch on her, sitting on her eggs, that was.
She let you know.
Yeah, she did let us know that she had a nest there, and she was very upset that a tree just about fell on her. But yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, and I think we had pictures of that a couple weeks ago. I guess it was 3 weeks ago. It was before Hootenanny, right? It's
Yeah.
just before the
Was
week
it?
before Hootenanny. Because it wasn't last week. It's been 2 weeks since Hootenanny.
That's true. It was a week before Hootenanny.
Yeah. So yeah, 21 days for chickens, or basically about 3 weeks, and about 4 weeks for the waterfowl that I know of. All the eggs look the same, so she
Yeah.
lay them all. Yeah, well, she'll go and hide them.
Ours was doing it for like 3 weeks or more, probably.
Yeah, ours kept jumping out, going to hide them for 3 or 4 weeks, and then wanted to sit on them. So I gave her back her own eggs. So, and not quite all the ones she had laid. I think she laid 18, and I gave her back like 16 or something. So we'll see how many hatch, because it was also hot in that time frame where she was laying them. But she won't sit on them until she has all the ones she collected there, and then she'll start sitting on them. That's when you count day 1. So not from the day they were laid, but from the day she starts sitting. Yeah. But yeah, very camouflaged. They do tend to find decent hiding places, I will say.
Yeah, she was under the peonies, which are fairly canopied.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
between two of them.
We had one against the house under some plants a year ago. I think that was Houdini.
Yeah.
And, or that was,
Had them next to
Over a year
the
ago.
fence, and then we had them under the barn.
we've had them under the chicken coop.
Yeah, under the chicken. Yeah, a little overhang on the chicken coop.
Yep.
Every time they've been pretty hard to find.
Yeah, half buff Orpington in dead grass. Yeah, so if you have like one of the golden
Yeah.
chickens and
Well, they're gonna pick the right place.
they do pick the right place. They are really good about it. So yeah. Anyway, that was the chicken tractor. That's our update. Unless you have any. Are you sore?
Not yet.
Not yet. Tomorrow.
I will feel it tomorrow.
I was feeling stiff.
I was doing other things, so I wasn't involved.
Yeah.
I will tell you the one secret that we figured out. It's hard to get wood, and we know how warped and terrible wood has
my
been.
goodness. Especially
and
two by
just
twos.
trying to select anything that's good at a hardware store or the local big box stores. So a lot of the times you started with 2x3s, which are a little cheaper and lighter, 2x2s, which are frequently just furring strips and absolutely warped.
Yeah,
We
they're
found
horrible.
one place that sometimes if you pick through them, about half of them are good,
Yep.
and you can hand pick them. But the secret is by 2x4s
And then rip them.
and just rip them because they're already kiln dried
Yep.
and they're much straighter. So as long as you have a table saw where you can put a guard on it and rip them, you'll
Yeah.
get a much better product.
Yeah. So, and it's actually slightly larger than the 2x2s that they're
Yeah.
selling. Just based on 2x2s isn't actually 2x2, it's like 1.5 by 1.5 inches. So, and 2x4s are 1.5 by 3.5 inches. So you're cutting 3.5 in half, basically.
Yep. So you end up with
Yeah. With a little bit larger than you would have ended up with.
a
So that's fine.
lot straighter.
A lot straighter, and you know, you add a little strength with a little bit of, and if there's a mosquito by you, that came in. You add a little strength with a little bit extra wood in there, and this is actually the first scoop we're mainly doing out of those ripped 2x2s, and our handle and our runner are 2x3s, but everything else are ripped 2x2s. Seems to be fairly solid.
Well, once you have them all attached together,
Yeah.
and this is without the wire around it or the corrugated roofing, yeah, it's pretty stable.
Yeah, we'd like to. I don't think we don't have enough wood where I think we would invest in cutting wood. There's a few people around here that do. We just cut down some locusts, and we'd actually have two 8-foot long, just over 8-foot long, nice. They're well over 12-inch wides that we're gonna give off to be cut. Although I think they need to be cut pretty soon because it's been about 3 weeks, and they're supposed to
Yeah.
be cut pretty quick. In fact, I think one might be cracking.
Oh no. Okay.
And they're laying in the dirt, which is also bad because they dry unevenly when they're in the dirt.
Yeah.
So
So
they may not be.
you got to get Kalamazoo permaculture out here.
Yeah, I don't know if he's hanging out today, but if not, they might still be able to be long split for fence posts because.
Yes, and that's what.
So, anyways, we had offered them as a test because there's been a lot of questions about how easy is it going to be or how many blades is it going to take
to go through a
to
locust.
cut locust. We know it's good wood. It's just what's it take to do it.
It's really hard.
And we have
wood.
enough that if we took down a whole bunch, they actually could be milled.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have
so-
enough that would be good enough for quite a bit of milled wood.
Yep. And I was just checking on the puppy back there. She's on the couch again. I did catch a picture of her, by the way. This is not her right now, but this is
Could
her.
be.
It could be. She's almost.
Pretty much the same.
She's reversed right now, but she likes her pillows. She is such.
Yeah.
She likes to sleep like people's.
Well, I had her pillow a couple minutes ago, so.
You did.
That's
Okay.
right.
You were sitting next to her a couple minutes ago. She
doesn't do
has. For those of you guys who remember how shy she was, she's like accepted you guys.
Yes.
Well, of course, you guys kept giving her milk bones, but
Well, that's a secret, of course, as we know.
bribe them into liking you. So yeah, so she's doing well, and she's crashed on the couch, almost in that same position. That's funny. But
Well, she wore herself out watching us all afternoon.
she was. She is spoiled. She's very spoiled at this point because she was so shy. It was the only way we could get her to basically accept us, and she's starting to accept you. It took her
Yeah.
a while to get used to you. She's definitely.
We've had a lot more people in and out of the house
Yeah.
over the last 6 months. So, yeah.
Carrie says her dog steals her pillows. Yeah.
Our St. Bernard would.
He would
He'd take the
slobber
whole
'em.
bed.
Yeah, he would.
During the day, he'd jump up and take the whole bed.
He actually stole a futon. He claimed it. He would not come to bed. He was in the next room on the futon, and we had a corner where we could fit this full-size futon mattress, and we took it off the frame and put it in the corner and became his dog bed. But he was so big. He was $200 dog.
He was $200 a month habit.
Well, that's a whole nother matter.
Probably more than.
Expensive dog. Yeah, spoils the grandpuppy. Yes, and so was my mom.
Yes.
She's accepted both of you now. She was
Yes,
going
yes.
back and forth at dinner time. We have a milk bone box at the end of the table, or maybe this was breakfast this morning, going back and forth between them, and they kept giving her milk bones while we were eating. I'm like, not the best training, but she was definitely, and she would nudge you guys
Yes, she would. And then
for more.
then she would look at the milk bone box.
Oh yeah, she had.
So she communicated what she wanted.
She's not a very loud dog when it comes to that. She doesn't
No,
whine.
she didn't bark or whine or anything.
But she will nudge and then look at what she wants. So she's definitely a smart dog. So I think that's caught up on projects at the moment.
I wanted to quickly say hi to Mike's mother.
Oh yeah, she's in the room. Kara's in the
Right.
room.
Right.
Yep.
I'm not in the room. I'm usually watching this show at breakfast the next day.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite TV shows is on at the
On
same
breakfast.
time. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So you're missing your TV show tonight. Yeah. But so I get bumped for TV.
Yeah, you got bumped for TV.
Oh no.
But you both make very good breakfast fare.
Well, thank you.
Background.
But,
Right.
yeah. Took an old futon mattress and folded it in half and became a dog bed. Yep. Like Carrie, ours was just spread out.
Boomer had a full size mattress,
Boom. Yeah.
and he used the whole thing.
Yeah, he just
We
spread
just
out.
put a sheet over it.
Yeah, that made it a little bit easier. Well, it had a cover on it,
Yeah.
and we put a sheet over it, and we
Try.
changed the sheet every once in a while, wash the cover every
Try
once in a
and
while.
keep it, yeah.
Yeah, try to keep it from becoming too doggy smelling. But Kara says hi.
Hi.
I know you can't read it from back there, but
Thank you.
so yeah. Anyway, so that's caught up through today. I don't. Oh, Kiri had a question earlier, and I think I did post. You were asking about the genetics of things like 23andMe for health reasons. And I do not recommend them for health reasons. And I did post a while ago a article saying why. It's because 40% of have been found to be wrong interpretations on the health part of it. Now that is a little different. That's when you get a test like 23andMe raw data interpreted by another program. They 40% of the time are incorrect. When they tested that against the cancer gene interpretation. So that is why I don't say that. Plus, any clinical interpretation on a test like that, they always recommend redoing it in a clinical lab. So you end up paying for it twice anyway. So that would be the other reason why.
And
I
if
tell
you
your
have
friend.
a potential serious result, you don't have anybody there to talk to
to.
you about the details of
Yes.
whether it means or what the test means. So you're kind of on your own, and
Yeah.
some of them get a little complicated.
Yes,
So.
and I wouldn't do it for celiac so much. I don't know if they do an 23andMe direct interpretation or if that has to be read by the raw data read by another company. But like I said, when it's raw data read by another company, it's wrong 40%
And you
time.
can get a decent screen. What now? Between $250 and $400.
Well, for cancer related,
yeah.
some of the clinical cancer related tests are between 250 and 400. It's more than 23andMe, but it's not like thousands.
It used to be, but
Yes,
yeah.
even just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I would, some of the other tests are still more expensive. I would tell your friend to ask her doctor to look around or to get a referral to genetics because they probably have more information on that. But yeah. Yes, so you shared the links. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, so she shared it again. Okay. Yeah. Did the 23andMe image my kid was shocked. I think it's fun for the ancestors to test, but I wouldn't
I was
hold
just
it
talking
to it.
to an acquaintance who had done 23andMe, or I believe, and,
Or one of the ancestry
and then had
ones.
done some ancestry connections, and they found out there was a line. There was two direct cousins, totally different name, that were showing up in their system.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that information was pairing correctly, he was asking his dad, who was like, "Who are these?" And he's like, "I don't know their names." And they're trying to figure out, and
How they're related.
there was a cousin or brother, something that might have had some other kids, but
Oh yeah,
they don't.
paternity.
Yeah, and so it's still uncertain, but it looked like there may be some very direct cousins that nobody knows about. So
Paternity issues can come up with those tests. That's another thing if you're doing
Yeah.
ancestry tests. I've actually I know of some people who've done it for paternity reasons, but they don't connect you unless they've also done the test, obviously, and only if both people say it's okay to connect to relatives. However, I have had some people learn that dad wasn't dad based on that. Some of them suspected it, and I've also known people who did it because they were adopted and they wanted to figure out a little more about ancestry and actually learned about half siblings who had already done the testing and were able to connect to them, which is kind of cool too. But you could get some surprise results on some of that. So yeah, you gotta watch those a little bit. So just just a heads up on the ancestry type testing.
I'm guessing that's what Michigan Mike was probably referring to, that he got to meet a whole bunch of people
Yeah,
at Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're interesting as far as the ancestry part of it goes, I'd say. But even that, I'm not sure if it's ancestry.com or hi, Mom.
Hi.
Just walk by. Ancestry.com or 23andMe. I know some of them will on their webpage say something like, do you want 50% accuracy, 70% accuracy, 90% accuracy as far as where your ancestors are from? And if you pick 50%, they might list countries. If you pick 70%, they'll list like regions, like Northern Europe, Southern Europe, different parts of the continent. And if you put 90% accurate, it'll tell you what continents your ancestors are from. Because keep in mind, people have always kept moving. I mean, you're a historian, borders change, people move.
Migration is nothing new.
No. And
It's human
not
existence.
it's not like you could go back and say, okay, we're going back to this time frame and we're stopping there. Because people moved before that too.
Again, it's just a snapshot.
Yeah.
If they can have that.
It is a bit of a snapshot, and it's fun, but on that end, but take it with a grain of salt. So anyway, that's my spiel on the genetics. I'm not going to go into more on the genetics unless you have a lot of questions on it. You can always shoot me a message on it. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because that does keep coming up.
Well, you know what happens in the UP.
Uh-oh. I think some people will tease the Southerners on similar things. It's probably a small town thing more than anything.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of Upers for a season because I worked up in Mackinac Island, so
Yeah.
we had a pretty good mix. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it was
Well-
always ongoing. It was probably the highest concentration of Upers. Was definitely still less than everybody else there, but it was a high population. So
And again, for those of you guys who recently joined in this discussion, who didn't hear the Uper definition earlier, is someone from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the UP. So, okay. Yeah, she wanted to save money, which is
probably not
Why the
good if
reason
it's
why I
if it's a
asked.
medical test. Probably not.
no, because
The best.
even if you're gonna try to do something that you're gonna act on, you still have to confirm it with a clinically proven
And if it's
lab.
insurance, you can sometimes force them to pay more. If you don't have insurance, sometimes some labs may help.
May work with you. Yeah.
May work with you and cut the cost down significantly if you're paying out of pocket.
Now, I do know that happens a lot because I work in cancer genetics. That happens a lot in cancer genetics, that a lot of the labs will work with people to try to reduce pricing. But in other areas, it's not as competitive, I would say,
Yeah.
in some of them. So there may still be a little bit higher pricing on some of those. Cancer genetics is highly competitive between labs, so the prices have dropped crazy as far as clinical tests go, and
they're
that's
going
where
to continue. They're talking now that in 10 years from now, they'd like to be able to do tests that may process in 30 minutes to an hour or two, and they may cost as little as $25. That's I mean, they're talking that's where, and with higher accuracy and more information. I mean, it's
we'll
like,
see where it all goes.
We'll see. It's just like, I mean, it's just like anything in technology. It continually gets better and frequently cheaper.
sperm but I just need to stay away from those. Just saying. Yep. Um, she wants her entire family to be. Well, the other thing is for celiac, the genes we know about related to celiac disease are not direct causatives. They change a person's chance for celiac. What they usually use them for clinically is if they suspect someone has celiac, they might use that genetic test to confirm the diagnosis or add data to that. But
if you're not having the symptoms, one, you don't have it, and two, why are you worried?
Yeah, exactly. So there are many people who have the variations in the genes that change the risk for celiac who don't actually have celiac. So it's not a complete predictive test. It's more of a confirmation test for that one.
Well, insurance pay for genetic testing.
Cancer genetic testing. Cancer.
Yeah, cancer.
As long there are certain guidelines when they start covering it.
Depends a little bit on your company, probably.
Most
they're getting
do.
better, yeah.
Most do, but it depends on the family history.
They figured out it's cheaper to know more what's going on than to try and treat not knowing, so it's in their interest to pay for it.
Basically, it's cheaper to pay for it and pay for extra screening than it is to diagnose something late and pay for more complicated treatments to do extra.
The sooner you get it, the better the outcome and the much cheaper the treatment.
So there are certain guidelines that insurance companies use right now that will, when they start covering cancer genetic testing, and when a person meets those guidelines, like say for breast and ovarian cancer, there's enough people in the family with it, then most of the time insurance covers it, and for some of these things without even any deductible. Not all the time on that. It depends on what it's for.
If you don't have symptoms and you don't have a history, though, they're not, and you just want to have a test to be safe, they're not going to cover it.
No. If there's no family history, no personal history, then they won't cover it. Or even just one person at a late age with a cancer that might be hereditary, they're not going to cover it for that. They cover it when there's more of a pattern. Just to see.
They must cover you regardless.
There's a law called the GINA Act from 2008, Genetics Information Non-Discrimination Act. Means health insurance companies cannot drop coverage if you test positive for a genetic condition. So no, they cannot drop coverage if you test positive for any genetic condition. Employers can't use that information either, exception being the military. That doesn't apply to things like life insurance and disability insurance and those types of policies. So you guys can always look up the GINA Act if you want.
So I guess if you need a big life insurance policy or renewing it, do that first.
Yeah.
Lock it in and then go get your. If you have an inkling that there might be something that's long term and increasing risk, but your medical insurance it's not going to affect your treatment or your costs.
So that law has been through, politics-wise, both swings of administrations and all of that. So I don't see it going anywhere at this point. Who knows? But
it would be very unpopular if that changed.
Yeah, it would on both sides.
And insurance companies would then have problems with pooling and costs. It would just cause so many problems to even consider going the other way.
Green Raven does life insurance physicals. Yeah. So most life insurance. Some will take genetics into account if it's in a
but they cannot do genetic tests
they can't
a factor for
they can.
They can't for
life insurance. There's no law on it.
Really, they can force you to do a genetic test?
Well, they can force you to do any blood test, but most don't force you to do genetic tests. That's too expensive, and I think they're paying for it when they.
Well, they do pay for the whole thing, yeah.
But they can ask family history. They can ask for you to sign a release of medical records. They could do a physical, like Green Raven's talking about, to determine eligibility. Usually, once they're set up, things that come up later, they can't.
No, because that's the point
of life insurance.
So
they can't. Once they set it up,
once they've underwritten a policy, as long as you pay the premium.
As long as you didn't do fraud and hide it.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's I do talk about those things for work all the time. So if you do have questions on those, I can answer those. But that's not usually our discussion on our live
You didn't
show.
have a picture here, by the way, of what's in the front yard. Did you?
No. Oh, no, I don't have a picture of that yet, except from last time it was there.
We have a huge green thing in our front yard again.
It's not a frog.
And it's
No.
not a frog. I had a picture of a green thing from the front yard because that pepper plant's in the front. But,
So my friend is temporarily parking a quite large John Deere tractor in our front yard. Conveniently, he's on some road contract work that happens in our township, and he goes all over the state on contract work. And because it's a good ways away from their base, last year he did this too. He said, "Hey, can I park a tractor with a 20-foot wide mower, a large John Deere,
on your front
in your front for a few days or whatever it takes to mow the county?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. I don't think, as long as the police don't care, and we're rural enough, they really don't.
No, they don't care.
And the ground's nice and hard right now." So
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." So I actually convinced him to mow our neighbor's backyard
For our neighbor,
because
not
he has
with
a
his
really
permission.
nice field that grows up.
Yeah, no, it is nice.
And it's grown for a year or two, but it's getting some heavier woody debris, which
Locust trees.
locusts and other things, which make it too hard for him to cut. And I think our tractor is also at this point pretty difficult. And it's nice and dry and ready. So I said, "Hey, I got a plan. No other time are you gonna have a huge tractor with the right equipment just sitting there, would you?" And so helped out the neighbor with this. So
Yeah, so that's sitting out front.
yeah, so we got a nice tractor.
Yeah.
Nice
But
tractor out there.
I'm going to go back to
Couple days.
something Green Raven just said. When you apply for life insurance, you get permission for them to test anything, go through your finances. Also, go through your medical. You usually give them sign a release for medical records and all that. Yeah, absolutely.
Depends on how much money you're looking for.
However, there are a few states that apply the GINA Act to life insurance. I think California is one of them. Michigan is not. So there are some companies that
He did not leave the keys.
No.
It's well locked up.
Yeah.
I've never driven a tractor that big.
No.
He hadn't until about a year and a half ago, and it took some learning because he does a lot of roadside cutting, which has obstacles and embankments and slippery slopes, and when you have a huge pull behind mower, that's a lot of weight. So you can be up on a berm, but if it's wet grass, the back can actually pull the tractor down or put it on an edge where we almost rolled it over, and you got to. A lot of times they're in pairs in the spring, but a lot of times they're out by themselves. If you're in a pair, you can usually they have pull chains and
Can get you out
cables,
of
and they get
trouble.
each other out as long as they don't roll it all the way. He's out by himself a lot of times, which means that you do have to be pretty. You have to improvise, get around debris, fix things. You go fuel up where he's out on the road, so go fuel up where you can go find diesel and do what you need. So yeah, it's a little different world. It's not even like mowing a flat corn or soy field. It's I think it takes some time and some skill to get used to it.
UP Gardening says sometimes we get the opportunity to use our friend's bulldozer, and my husband loves it.
Never driven a bulldozer.
No, I've never driven that either.
I need a backhoe, a scoop. I got about 1 day project of.
Yeah.
Could use a
hugel bed.
We want to build another hugel bed, but I also have an idea of
Clearing up.
scooping out about a foot deep of our chicken coop and getting all that compost out really, really fast and easy at the same moment.
Without a shovel and buckets and a
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, when we arrived here, your mother asked, "Did Mike get a new piece of machinery?" Because we're always curious.
Yeah, we didn't tell you.
Yeah, we
did
don't have
we?
budget for that.
No, I said, I don't think something quite that elaborate, no.
No.
We have too many trees. I couldn't even mow our yard with it. I couldn't get around to anything. It would be a waste.
Yeah, no, it's really big.
It's just the right size to barely do our back neighbor's field, which is probably about a 2 or 3 acre field. 2 acres.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's very few trees to get around.
Yeah. So, very few trees and a few saplings to pull down. Big green tractor song. And
Yeah, we got a friend who's got an old 50s Ford tractor in
Yeah.
her barn.
Yeah, she does.
A little fun.
Yeah.
Fun. I remember driving one when I was a teenager.
Your mom's I think came through really late. But yeah, we'll tell my mom hi. She went somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah. But no, I actually got to talk to Kelly and see if she can maybe bring it
Well,
over.
I saw this
to the
weekend they
shower.
said there was something that the tractor was broken,
Okay,
and
maybe
the
not
saddle
then.
broke, and
The
something
saddle
else.
on the horse broke.
Yeah, and the tractor was broken, and something else was
Okay.
broken.
Oh no.
She had like three, but she was having a broken weekend.
Oh no. Things come in threes, right? Oh boy.
Yeah, so although I saw her back on the horse and I saw her driving her Jeep on the dunes, so it seems like they were dealing with more than broken.
Yeah.
Looked like they're having, I think they're probably down south on the dunes
Yeah, they were having
part of the
fun.
day.
Well, they were going to visit grandparents, and I don't know if the grandparents lived near the dunes or not, but they went to definitely playing on the dunes.
I have a friend who has a bulldozer. He has like a 50s or 60s bulldozer in New York. God, he did a huge project, and I don't know. I think if he uses it for
Michigan Mike, you
snow,
could sell those walnut trees. There are so many people around here who
Yeah.
want to buy that
good
walnut
furniture
wood.
wood and other
Yeah.
things. Yep. Yeah, if they're any even
You had
once
some
they're
people
about
buying
6
yours.
inches
Yeah.
or larger,
We
you
have
can definitely get some.
one or two people coming through every year wanting to know if we want to sell the walnut trees.
Yeah. We only have one walnut tree on our property. We keep it because we like the walnuts. And it's by the chicken coops, not by the garden. So it's
Oh, your
not
husband's a log truck driver. That's another skill. Those log trucks are a skill item, both to load them and to get them get them to where they need to go in one piece. Yeah, you see a lot of when you're up north, UP and the upper portion of the lower peninsula see lots of log trucks.
Did you see your mom's comment?
I told Cindy that I could. Well, at one point she's looking at farm tractors and like, because the old farm tractors are $1,000, $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah.
Problem is keeping them running and the upkeep on them when they break. But people sell them off pretty cheap. Now the two things are you got to have a bucket, because if you don't have a front bucket, there's just so many things you can't do. And but I said, yeah, if I had a bucket or a scoop, I don't know. We have 5 acres and it's wooded. It would be dangerous because I don't know. We'd have holes all over the place. It just, yeah. We need more room. You need 20 or 30 acres so you can go dig in the back where there's,
We could dig a pond.
where it's not going to cause any problem.
If our neighbors wouldn't mind, we could make a pond that's big enough to go on both of our properties. Then we have a swimming hole. But yeah, we don't have big enough property for it. Just checking through the comments again. Sorry. Can't even the Amish won't come and get the walnut trees there? That's
I'm surprised.
crazy. Yeah, Michigan
they
Mike,
large?
you're on the east side of the state
Yeah.
too. You're actually near.
There's
Not
a
that
lot
far,
of
I
small.
think.
There's a lot of small logging
Trying to
around
remember.
here, and a lot of small wood shop and portable mills. They'll either come on site or they're always trying to collect wood,
Yeah,
even small amounts of it, especially special grain woods.
yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. So, yeah, I missed something else in there. Oh, I hear people in the next room. Person in the next room. So we do have. It's like 9:43, so I'm gonna switch the topic off of tractors and large vehicles.
How that
That's
happen?
usually a popular topic. Did
It
you see
is.
that our
The chat.
our
Picked up a
attendance
lot.
and our retention went way up all of a sudden?
Hi, the white picket fence is here.
I have a cousin who drove really, really large tractors because he worked on the potato farms and some of the other very large commercial farms, and they used huge, equipment.
Suburban hillbillies. Some things grow under walnut trees, just not your garden vegetables.
Yeah, we have plenty of things growing under our walnuts.
Right now we have chicken forage growing under. We have barley and we have oats growing under there. We have a lot of your berries and forest edge plants will grow under there. So if you put like your raspberries or your dewberries and things like that, there is, if you look up, just Google what will grow under a walnut tree, you will
And
find
if you walk
things.
around a forest, there's everything. You'll find things growing around walnut trees.
Mm-hmm.
The two trees that are actually harder than walnut trees, pine trees and maple trees, because pine trees change the acidity of the soil.
Yeah, and
Some
they shade everything out.
Yeah, but then some people say that maple trees are a little allelopathic, but it's really that their leaf cover is near 100% light, and so they're simply shading out, and,
A lot of
and that's
things.
what the pines do a lot too.
Yeah.
So.
So, cat.
That was
Why is the
coughing
cat
and hacking
coughing?
all out a couple hours ago.
We got fur balls or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you could Google that. Stefan Subkowiak or from Permaculture Orchard, if I said his last name right. He had a video not long ago about his walnut trees. Now apples don't like them, so he had some problems with apple trees. But he said he was talking about putting a barrier of things that don't mind the juglone in the walnuts. That can work as a barrier between those and other things that you're growing.
Yeah,
So-
rocks grow under mountain cedars, yes. Pine cones and pine straw grow under a lot of we have lots of pine forest here, white pine, spruce, and we have 4 or 5 key harvestable pines, and yeah, they can be pretty much nothing under them other than poison ivy and pine cones. Poison ivy always seems to grow there.
I will say the dewberries seem to out-compete the poison ivy.
Yeah.
They seem to do pretty well at that. So that is, if you try and just to, because the problem is you dig something up, like something like that spreads pretty easily, it comes back really easily unless you put something there it doesn't want to grow with. So that is an issue a lot of times. But I like my walnut tree. We're keeping it. We
just have one, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not. It's I don't know, 20 years old or more. It's nice size, but it could get a lot larger and a lot older.
Yeah.
It's a black walnut.
Yeah.
It would be nice to put a couple English walnut in, which we
Yeah,
should get some English
nuts.
walnuts from Bonamago and start some.
We could grow some English
Because
walnuts.
they have some really large established English walnut.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudzu kind of grows everywhere, and then it strips the soil generally of most
Well,
nutrients.
you can always get a bunch of goats and try to feed them on it. It's supposed to be pretty high protein. I think that's why it was introduced to the area, was to feed livestock. The problem is it went nuts. No poison ivy in built on a rock homesteads, rocky land. So it's
Well,
too
we don't
dry.
have scorpions.
We don't have
So-
scorpions. We only have one poisonous snake in Michigan. That's the Mississauga rattlesnake, which is actually really rare. We're pretty low on predators. We have coyotes and foxes. We don't have wolves.
There's some tucker bear are starting to come into the UP or into
And
the,
a
low, into
cougar.
the lower peninsula. They've always been in the UP, but
Yeah, coming closer. But I remember growing up, I don't think we had coyotes in the area
No.
because you're in the
no,
woods on
no,
the east side.
No.
you would
We
have
had
known.
foxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Foxes, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have chickens growing up, so it didn't matter. The foxes were cute. We have our neighbor friend down the road who has the tractor, usually has fox problems. They steal her chickens a lot. But we haven't had that issue with the poultry net and the geese. I think we're okay there. So anyway, we do have, we're down to about 15 minutes left, so we should probably do our Ask the Chef segment. If anyone has cooking questions, you can go ahead and throw them out. But this
People
was
are claiming brown recluse are becoming prominent around
just-
our area, which
yeah,
I don't believe they were really an issue previously. But I just saw an article
they've moved up north.
specifically saying that there's a decent amount, and that was an issue when I lived in Memphis. I lived down by the river,
Yeah,
and old properties, wet areas, boots, and yeah, brown recluse, big
I
deal.
keep forgetting the suburban hillbilly is from near Atlanta, so they're around
Atlanta definitely has brown recluse too, if it's
Yeah.
in certain areas.
So anyway, go back to food. Let's make people hungry. So this was not a completely local meal, obviously. There's shrimp in there. We're in Michigan. We're not on the ocean. There's olives. We can't grow olives in Michigan. But
It was a combination of some things I got at the markets and cleaning out the fridge.
a lot of local produce in there.
I had cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, tomatoes. Peppers are from the store. They're from who knows where.
Okay.
The bells were, hot house from somewhere.
The artichokes aren't ours.
The olives and artichokes are from containers that were almost empty that I was finishing off.
So
Yeah, it's sort of a Greek Mediterranean style vegetable salad.
yeah, that was good. I ate it for a couple days, and I think we might still have a little bit left.
It's probably well pickled at this point.
It might be. But so that throw together salad if you're looking for ideas of what to do with some vegetables that coming from your garden.
We have wolf spiders like crazy in Michigan.
Yeah, we do.
That's definitely there. Lots of brown spiders. We have lots of spiders. They just tend to be smaller and not a problem
not-
except for when they're crawling on you.
not too many problem ones. But yeah, so looking for more ideas of what to do with produce as it comes out of the garden. The things that our garden's bad this year because it didn't get into it enough. Although we do have potatoes we need to pull and probably carrots soon, and we are starting to get tomatoes and peppers.
Yeah, it's been very weird. I'm being at the markets and interacting with the the professional farmers a lot, and small and specialty of all different types. It's been a weird year. Things have come late. Things have come sporadically. Some things have died. It's definitely an off year, even for very experienced growers. And we've
had
a pretty off year. This is going to be but I think next year we'll probably roar back with a great year.
Yeah, our tomatoes are struggling, but my theory is, okay, yes, I know we have weeds in our garden. There's that issue, but we always grow our tomatoes amongst a lot of plants, and they usually do really well. And they're a little scrawny this year. They're growing tall, but they're a little scrawny. They had 3 months of constant rain, and then we had a month of dry. So my thought is that they did not establish roots because they didn't have to.
That was a big concern for even the corn that got in late and everything. No roots and then dry.
And then dry, so they are now struggling to get enough nutrients and water.
Yeah.
So, but we are starting to get a few off the plants. I actually need to check them in the morning probably.
Yeah.
Pick some more.
You can definitely pickle green chilies with jalapenos. Anything that's pretty much green and firm, fairly firm, can be pickled. So, you can use your chilies and green tomatoes and green whatever else. Softer vegetables like zucchini and yellow squash don't pickle too well just because they break down. And of course, the high acidity is good. If you're using low acidity in your canning, make sure you check your pH and appropriately pH your canning so you don't end up with incidental botulism. But you can blend. We'd blend all of our peppers. We did our lacto ferment pepper sauce last year when we cleaned out most of our green peppers and things at the frost. But you can cut them rings. You can cut them whole. A lot of times when you cut them whole, you poke a hole.
Oh, we had cheese in that dish, by the way, guys. We talked about shrimp and cheese. There was some feta cheese in there, wasn't there?
It's not feta.
No,
I actually tried to get feta from the local. That was aged provolone, provolone picante.
Okay. Yes.
Sharp provolone.
Yeah. So there was some cheese in there along with the shrimp.
Yeah. So generally in Europe,
I wouldn't put Velveeta
the Mediterranean in general, cheese and dairy is not so commonly combined with seafood and fish. However, when you get into French and other things, you do use cream sauces and sometimes cheese sauces, or you actually do like Mornay sauce is a milk and roux based sauce with Swiss cheese melted in, and Mornay can be put over things like that, and then gratinés or browning it, where you coat it with a thick bechamel and slices of cheese or cheese in it, and then putting it under a broiler and browning it lightly or even pretty dark. And people do that with things like lobster and shrimp, so they do start working into dairy and cheese. I think American cheese and cheddar cheese, the flavor profile sometimes clashes with seafood, and makes it taste kind of funny. But if you do it in the right base, it's not too bad. Other than people make like fondues, like a white wine cheese sauce, and will sometimes either dip shrimp in that, or again glaze it, or what is it? Is shrimp de Dijon? Does that have a? I'm trying to remember if that has a bechamel base or some cheese in it. Thermidor is glazed over, like lobster thermidor is glazed over with dairy. So it tends to be very thick, and cheese and dairy cover up some of your flavors.
Yeah.
And seafood and fish are lighter in flavors, so you have to be careful. You can turn a very light, very healthy dish into a very heavy,
fatty
dish quickly. So
UP Gardening is trying to figure out what to do with all of her peppers. They're going crazy. So are ours. We have a bunch in our greenhouse.
You can dry certain ones when they go ripe, and use them and grind them into chili powder or dry them into pepper flake and things. I think the best things are, fresh salsa. You can freeze them, but either pickling or canning, and then, again, whole rings, pieces, pureed into salsas. if they freeze, they get soft, which means they're not good for a lot of things. But you can dice them up before they get soft, and then you can throw them into chili. And if they're a little soft and chili, they're going to cook out anyways. It's fine.
I like the idea of pickled rings because then you could throw them on a pizza.
Yeah,
or
and then
like that.
use them as a garnish item
Yeah.
for salads and everything else.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. And you can do a combination of mild and hot. And then some people do like a sweet style. Now, sweet can refer to sweet being not hot, but you can actually have ones that have a decent amount of sugar in them, like a sweet and sour pickle style. Or you have the little red peppers. I think they're from Africa that are sweet and spicy. Of course, when you add sugar, sugar helps balance out and take heat levels down. And when you add vinegar, that also takes some of the heat down on a pepper. It doesn't take it all the way down, obviously. We have hot peppers and vinegar, but yeah, you can move in a lot of directions. You can build them in with like, your pickled green beans and other things, and add a few if you can make hot okra or hot green beans, and you can spice it. You can start doing curries, like curry spices and powder or other spices to change the flavor of your peppers.
Yes.
They're very high in vitamin C. So if you're doing a lacto ferment or you're doing a cold pack vinegar or a cold pickling, you maintain a lot of your vitamin C in there for quite a while. It'll reduce somewhat. Now, if you end up if you end up cooking them, you take out a lot of the vitamin C. And then you can cook down peppers. The other thing you can do is cook them in with a sauce, like an adobo, like chipotle and adobo, which is a smoked ripe jalapeno, a red jalapeno. And then when it's in adobo, that's in a sauce. It's in a seasoned sauce of peppers, of pureed peppers. So you can start making chili sauces and kind of, flavorful peppers that could be built into other things. So, yeah. But peppers go a long ways. Hot peppers especially, you can only eat so many.
Yeah, right.
You can hang them on strings and dry them and just use them as
needed.
as garnish. I mean, as decor.
Yeah, as decor. You put them on your. Oh my gosh, that just reminded me of the decor, the post that you forwarded to me that had all the odd interior decoration.
Oh, somebody was like being a realtor for many. It was a post running around of all the crazy photos of houses they've seen on the market that did.
Yeah.
Architectural and design things that were just hideous
Weird.
Just didn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
What exactly is cowboy candy?
I've heard of it. I forget what it was now. I don't make it. Yeah.
Cherry tomatoes are a little hard. One way they tend to be sweeter and more intense. So they're not so bad for sauce. The problem is getting the skins off. So you have to mill them because you can't really blanch them. But I will blend a bunch of them in and throw bags in with our other tomatoes when I make tomato sauce sometimes. You can blister them. Actually, one way to get the skins off still takes time. If you throw them in a fryer or fry oil, they will, because of the expansion of the liquid, they will pop the skins off, and then the skins get greasy and you can
pull them out.
Slip the skins off. So you could actually do that and can them in little, little rounds and such.
Our St. Bernard used to eat all our cherry tomatoes. But black cherry tomatoes that were.
You can definitely, when they're firm and they haven't ripened all the way up, you can definitely pickle them. And
Yeah. Candied jalapenos is what the cowboy candy is.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I'd heard of it, but yeah.
Depending on how hot it is.
You're not big on the hot though.
No.
Yeah, and then White Pig Fence earlier said here the trick is to control how many seeds you allow into.
Well, that's a big part. If you can cut the ribs out, if there's much of a rib, and if you can remove the seeds, that takes down a lot of the heat. In fact, if you have a larger, thicker skin pepper and you get real serious about it, so in fancy cooking, you may blanch them and take the skin off, but you can actually take a knife when they're raw, and if you can skin it so that you take the entire rib off and just barely the rib over the whole surface, that will significantly take heat down.
White Picket Fence, I know you came in late and a few other people did and missed the introductions, but this is my dad. He came this weekend. She's asking who the guest is. They want to say hi.
Hi.
So this is my dad. He came this weekend to help me work on a new project, building chicken coop. So you could go back and watch the beginning if you like To summarize some of
Freezing
that?
will probably take the skins off. They do on the bigger ones, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thinking back to the ones that we froze, they
Yeah.
definitely get soft. The other thing you can do is fresh tomato sauce, where you take cherry tomatoes and you just slice them in half or in quarters and just make sure they're destemmed and rinsed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can quick saute those with just a touch of garlic, maybe a drop of white wine or whatever, vinegar if it needs it, salt, pepper, lots of olive oil, and you can make a tomato sauce that's sort of like a fondue or just a chunky, very light, very fresh, and you can pour that over pasta or over other dishes as sauce. And that can only be done in the summer when things are really nice. So doing that super, super fresh. Don't put all the heavy oregano and no dry spices, just some fresh basil or whatever you want to put in there. And keep it really simple. It's just about the tomatoes. It'll be runny. You don't need to paste it out. It could cook if they're really ripe. It might cook 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You can make it in a saute pan and serve it right away. And that's pretty nice.
And suggestions for poblanos and Anaheim?
I love poblano.
Acme, Anaheim? Yeah,
Where is that?
this highlighted one.
Yeah, I love poblanos and Anaheims and all those. They were some of my preferred for putting in chili. So dice them up, put them in chili. The other thing is when they're bigger, you can stuff them, and there's two ways to do it. So the traditional way is you fry them either in an egg batter or a light flour batter, and you stuff them with meat or other things. What I like to do, and if you want to throw them over an open burner, you can char them down and scrape the skin off. Sometimes the skin gives people heartburn or whatever, or if you want them roasted, but they're great roasted. They can be canned after you've charred them and roasted them. Again, watch your pH if you're canning them. But I like to stuff them with rice, a little bit of cheese, and usually smoked turkey or smoked ham, but a lot of times it's smoked turkey, which you can just get a little piece like a leg, or wings not quite enough, but just get a little bit of smoked turkey, dice that up, vegetables or corn or whatever, and put all that together. Make a stuffing, pack it in with some cheese so it holds. And so instead of doing a fried pepper, again with a batter or an egg batter, I'll just stick it in the oven and bake them off. We don't have a deep fryer. I don't really. Occasionally I'll get a deep pan and we'll fry chicken like once or twice a year.
Yeah, not very often. No.
Working in restaurants where we're always frying stuff, I never felt a need to have a fryer around the house because I always had generous amounts of fried things running around, and it's a good technique. But yeah, we eat so much fried stuff typically when people go out to eat or fast food. It's like I don't need to make it here. But yeah, you can doing the peppers are really, really good. It's a nice dinner.
So, Kiri, Built in a Rock Homestead has a question for you.
Yes.
And it is, are you excited to becoming a grandpa? Well, technically you're already a grandpa. But
I got
again.
4 grandchildren already.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
I do have 4 grandchildren.
My nieces and nephew.
And they are ages through what?
6, 5, 4, and 7 months? 8, 7.
6 or 7 months, who will be certainly
7 months.
a playmate
For this
my
one.
5th
For your
grandchild to come. But I have 3 daughters. Cindy is the second,
Yep.
and this is the first for Cindy
yeah.
and Mike. So it's a great occasion.
Yep.
We're looking forward to it. Most certainly, the whole family is.
So, yes, he's excited, and so is my mom.
The grandkids, the cousins, are
Yeah.
very excited about having another cousin.
Yeah, I think Charlie was convinced it was a boy. I don't know about Holly. And I think the men in the family and boys in the family were convinced it was a girl. So that was kind of funny.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It worked that way.
But yeah, so cousins are excited, but they're here a few times a year. And of course, at this point, the youngest will be coming probably once a year, maybe twice a year.
They just moved across the country. So.
Yeah, they just moved to South Carolina. So we'll have to go down there sometimes. They'll come up here sometimes. But that means not as many planting potatoes with my niece Charlie. I'll have to do it with Taylor and Holly a little bit more.
Yes.
So, but she was always involved in, we have a planting potatoes video. We have She started her own seeds a year ago. So she's been really involved in some of the planting stuff. So I know my sister doesn't grow much, so I'm gonna have to try to maybe send her some seeds in the winter or spring, because I guess they could start a lot earlier than we
They can do herb.
Yeah.
They're gonna have minimally get freezing weather,
Yeah.
so they can
They're right
grow,
out near the water.
Yeah,
too.
they can grow a lot of things through the year.
Yeah.
In fact, winter growing on some items would probably preferred.
Yeah.
Though you have less light.
Yeah. So, once you get through hurricane season.
So I don't know what the Royal Farm Fried Chicken is actually.
Royal Farm Fried Chicken. No messing in the kitchen. Chicken and kitchen are really hard to say in the same sentence, I will say. We say kitchen scraps and it turns into chicken scraps a lot too, which is going to the chickens. Anyway, that's a side note. I don't know what that is. Okay, I was trying to see if I missed any other comments through here.
Yeah, we've been buying because we don't have a real good yield yet, and some things we're not going to get very high yield. We've been buying a few tomatoes at the market. We started getting some cucumbers and melons. Peaches are having a really tough time in our area. A lot of peach trees are actually killed in the minus 20, 17, minus 20 of the winter, so they're having to go through replant. But then also we had late frost, so a lot of them that were not killed did not bear fruit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of that, and so I'm at the market twice a week, and we have a farm stand that's decent, that's close to us, two of them actually. So I'm purposely trying to stay out of the grocery stores, which we don't go to a lot. I mean, I run into Aldi's and sometimes buy something like scallions cheap, but right now I'm trying to go out of my way not to buy things and plan meals that are coming off of the markets.
Yeah.
We can go buy stuff from the grocery store at some other point when it's not growing around here as much.
Yep.
So
trying to do more local. And we do have things.
we have stuff coming slowly.
Yeah.
It's going to be an off year. So.
Yeah. But hi Tammy, we were just about to wrap up because it is after 10 o'clock and we start at 9. But
Royal Farm Fried Chicken is a franchise. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. We used to do fried chicken and things at for staff meals sometimes at places I work where we fed a lot of the staff there. Sometimes we had 50 or 100 people to feed, it seemed like. So sometimes we would, because fried chicken isn't very expensive, and you always have like days when there's old fry oil and stuff laying around, but you have to take the time to prepare it. So.
Yeah. So Carrie knows the 2 peach trees there that have produced nothing this year.
Well, you got water issues and you got frost issues. You probably don't have frost, but
not too often.
and then you could have pollination issues, but probably more water issues, I'm guessing, this year.
Yeah.
Our water table is so low that once a tree is established, or it's so high that once a tree is established, even in dry years, a lot of the fruit trees are really reaching down and getting the water they need because
it's only like 10 feet.
10 feet.
Yeah.
So they can do quite well even when it's dry.
Yeah, we're in a good fruit belt part of Michigan, but a part of a lot of fruit grown in this area for just general. Yeah.
I'm pretty good at frying chicken. I have worked with a lot of people there's a lot of methods. There's always somebody in every kitchen that's sort of the master chicken fryer for staff meals and has a good recipe or technique. I'm pretty good. I'm usually right up there.
We just don't eat a lot of it.
There's usually some ethnic guy in the kitchen that's sort of the master, and I'm
picking up that.
There's a combinations of how you season it, and usually a good marinade. Usually a 2-day marinade, and then your seasoning, and then how you flour it and how much you flour it. There's a sous vide recipe that I've come across. It's probably as good as anything. It comes out almost like commercial. It really is what they're doing with commercial fried or the pressure fried chicken.
Well, we had delicious
chicken
barbecue chicken tonight.
Yeah, I did a quick roast, just marinated for a couple of hours and roasted it.
Yeah.
Put it on the smoker on a slope 275 and just let it go for 2 hours or whatever it took, which keeps it pretty tender. It was just commercial chicken. Don't have tender enough chickens of ours right now to even put on the grill. They're really more for braising.
We will in a couple months.
That's why we got
Yeah.
that's why we got the meat chickens coming in specifically for a little bigger bird, but also some of ours are older, so they're not great for pan frying or grilling.
ASL Homestead said her duck eggs make better fried chicken than chicken eggs.
They might.
They are. I know bakers like duck eggs because they're a little
They
richer.
might make a good Scotch egg.
They make a good. Oh yeah, Scotch eggs too.
A little bigger, a little richer.
We have a video on that one. So an old video.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess when you're doing a batter, and some people use buttermilk, some people use eggs or eggs and milk. There's a whole variety of things to get it all to hold together. I consider it sort of a throwaway item because a lot of it gets cast away. So I'm not sure I'd want to put duck eggs in unless I just had a lot of duck eggs laying around.
Yeah.
So I find them a little precious for breading and battering, but
Yeah. Do tell, I used my new sous vide for the first time yesterday.
yeah. So there's a recipe running around with the name "Don't F It Up Fried Chicken." Can't F it up fried chicken. So pretty much you pretty much can't, except for I watched somebody
Mess it up.
sort of mess it up. So it's sous vide based, and they do a brine marinade. And basically, you stick the dark meat in for about 2 hours, and then you put the light meat in for the last hour. So the dark meat gets almost 3 hours. So you get around the issue of dark meat needing more time to cook and white meat getting overcooked and dried out by staging it in 2 steps. You obviously use a nice seasoned marinade, which is trapped in the bag and helps produce very moist chicken.
Yep.
And then when it's hot, so you pull it out warm and you have your breading. And when you toss it in the breading, you just kind of get some of the liquid off of it, and you do your quick egg batter or flour egg batter breading. When you go fry it, it's basically cooked. It's kind of just barely sub-rare and needs to come up 5 or 6 degrees internally. So instead of having to cook, chicken needs to cook like 10 minutes, fry for 10 minutes. So even dropping the temperature down, it's easy to darken the crust without cooking the center. This way you have warm chicken, so you only are bringing the temperature up a little bit. So all you're really doing is focusing on getting that perfect crust and crumb. And you're not worried that you're going to have bloody chicken. I think if you fry it too cold and too quickly, not only does the heat not penetrate to the middle, but it tends to force the blood and the juices towards the middle. So bones, which don't conduct well, can have blood forced down around them, and which will stay pink, which is one of the problems. So you'll get tender, you'll get flavorful, you'll get it really balanced, and you won't burn it. So I do think sous vide fried chicken is probably one of the. I can do it either way, but I think sous vide fried chicken is one of the best methods I've used, and highly recommend it.
So Tammy says you get fluffier batter with duck eggs, and Michigan Mike says found using the whites from the eggs for frying the batter tends to stick on the chicken better.
Anytime you use egg whites and the meringue and such, you do get lighter and tender. Egg whites are a nice binder. Egg yolk, because of the fat, and it makes it more slippery. So yeah. I mean, I typically use whole eggs and buttermilk in a marinade, and then just use that when I'm not doing the sous vide method. I just use that for going to the breading or the flour. But switching up for whites would work just fine. I have dumped extra whites in because we've talked about it. Have extra whites laying around. We consider them pretty much throwaway or free, and so yolks can be more precious. So we'll dump some of those whites in, especially if you're doing it for a staff meal and you're watching costs more and trying to provide a decent meal at a very low cost.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up with that because it is 10:15, and as usual, we're running a little late, but we will be back next week, same time, same place, and I think we should probably say good night, and I hope everybody has a good week.
Yes.
And thanks for joining us, Dad.
Well, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'll be sore tomorrow, but I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to be here with the two of you while you do this program.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, what do you do with the eggs in the marinade? Eggs are an optional item because some people are, of course, allergic to it. Eggs are a good binder. The extra protein, the fat, the egg white, it makes things stickier and stiffer, and so that the batter, so that things hold on better. So you could use simply herbs and spices, or you could use buttermilk, and buttermilk's a little thicker. One of the reasons you use buttermilk instead of just milk, it changes the pH, but it also is thicker and helps hold. So eggs increase the ability for it to stick, which increases your ability for a thicker crust, if that's what you're looking for.
And as someone said last week, we do the Southern Goodnight, which takes 5 minutes. But but that's
important questions.
But it's partially because there is a delay on the questions coming through. So I start saying goodnight because it looks like it's slowing down, and then we get another question.
And you only need a couple eggs. If you're doing one chicken, I'm thinking like 1 or 2 eggs.
That's
in
fine.
That. It's not like an egg batter for sure.
Yeah, no, you're good. Green Raven. So we'll try again. We'll say goodnight again, and we will see you next week. Same time, same place, so 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Part-Time Permies. And I hope everybody has a good week. Good night, you guys. Yeah.
Good night.
Right.